and welcome to the DoubleFault Podcast. It's been a while, but me and Coach Jeremy were getting geared up for 2025 season. So in this episode, we figured we would go through the top 10 players, highlights of 2024 season, and our expectations going into 2025. Coach Jeremy, it's been a while.
We're back.
How have you been? Have you been good?
Life is great. Now just improving on and off the court. You know how we have to do it. I love Roger Fed, right? You got your road to Roger going on. Double faulter.
Yeah, shout out to the YouTube. We've been grinding hard to get in shape. Putting in the work, trying to gear up, get the New Year's resolution started a month or two early. But I think there's only one man we should start with to start this episode, and that is my boy, Jannik Sinner. Number one player in the world.
Bravo.
What a 2024 for this guy. He starts off maybe as well as you could start off by winning the AO, taking down Novak Djokovic, one of the best players of all time at the AO, coming back from 2 sets down against Medvedev in the finals, follows that up, wins Rotterdam over Demonauer, and then some other notable results from 2025. Another win, Masters 1000 over Dimitrov in Miami. At the French Open, he did way better than I thought he was going to do on clay by making the semifinals and going 5 sets with Carlitos. And at some point, I was like, he can win this match, which is, I thought clay was going to be his worst surface. But I'm sorry for the rest of the ATP Tour, but Jannik Sinner is an all-court player. And some other results just to run through real quick before we start talking. Wimbledon, especially after success, maybe his body was a little banged up after the clay season. He lost quarterfinals to Medvedev at Wimbledon in 5 sets. Then in the U.S. Open swing, he won Cincinnati over Tiafoe, and then he followed up with his second Grand Slam of the season by beating Taylor Fritz in the U.S. Open final in 3 sets, pretty dominant final. And then he figured he might as well cap off the season with another 1,000, the ATP finals, and winning the Davis Cup. So he won Shanghai over Djokovic in the finals, and then he absolutely...
Just rubbing it in with he had to win the Davis Cup too.
Yeah, it was only fitting that Italy won the Davis Cup after Sinner just absolutely annihilated everyone at the ATP finals.
Arnaldi showed up at the Davis Cup too. Stunting. Yeah. That was an amazing Italy team this year. Musetti, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if Berrettini played.
Yeah, I didn't get too much of the Davis Cup in, but man, Jannik Sinner is for sure leading the charge for the Italians. And he's only 23 years old, a fresh 23. So the majority of the 2025 season, he's going to be 23. But
yeah, I mean, I would just say absolute dream season for Jannik. It's been a few years since, that match in 2022 at the U.S. Open. I'll always reference it. That was the first time I really saw Alcaraz and Sinner and just what they can do, especially together on a tennis court. But from then, I just knew that Sinner was going to be something special. And 2023 was slowly building up. And then just the sky was the absolute limit this year. Only guy that got him when it mattered most was my boy Carlitos Alcaraz. That Medvedev loss at Wimbledon, I forget the details. I feel like Sinner wasn't 100%. And I feel like any loss that wasn't against Alcaraz this year that Sinner had was because he was not 100% physically, which, we'll see. Tennis is such a grueling sport, and it seems like that's really his only rival right now is his own physical fitness. Because mentally he's so dialed in, absolutely clubs the ball, as all the British announcers would say. Serving better than he ever has as well. Just exciting stuff. I can't imagine him not winning at least one Grand Slam next year. I mean, it's hard to root against him. Besides, Alcaraz, Zverev is great at Roland Garros. Like, was this? We'll get to him in a little bit, but he was this close to, winning Roland Garros this year. And Medvedev, same deal with the Aussie Open last year. He was one set away from winning it all. If Medvedev hadn't had such a ridiculous amount on court, of time on court before that Sinner final, who knows? Because Medvedev played probably the best match of his year, and still just came up short against Sinner.
Yeah, Sinner was 74-7 according to Tennis Abstract. I think that one of the losses was a withdrawal. Technically, he went
right.
These numbers may be a little iffy depending on the website I got it from, but shout out to Tennis Abstract, great site. But he was 53-3 on hard courts, or 2 or whatever, which is just absurd. Clay 11-2, grass 9-1. His rankings rise from last year. He was the year-end number 4, and now he is the well-established world number 1. And
way more consistent than Alcaraz. Alcaraz probably had 8 shiesty losses throughout the year.
He had way more losses, and I think Sinner managed his season well. He skipped the Olympics to prep for the U.S. Open, and it paid off because we saw Djokovic and Alcaraz go out early in the U.S. Open because of the Olympics. So that might be a spot where those guys can gain a lot of points by playing the U.S. Open relatively fresh. But I think,
what were they what were Djokovic and Alcaraz thinking was going to happen? Because they were in the Wimbledon final, and then they played the Olympics a few weeks later, and then
with no rest,
the U.S. Open was immediately. It's okay, obviously they're not going to be 100%. So
yeah,
that was definitely a good call by Sinner.
Yeah, and no matter how much these guys, they're not machines. Even though Sinner under Darren Cahill absolutely looks like a machine, he has just been unlocked mentally and physically. No more of the old. It's late in a tournament, his body breaks down, or we don't see him play his best tennis in the biggest moments. He's a ruthless killer, and I don't. It's what do people do against him? His serve is unreal. He has maybe one of the best forehands and one of the best backhands, and his movement is great for his size. I don't really see a game in especially on hard courts, I don't see a clear weakness to attack. Carlos, his backhand's probably not as good as his forehand, but Sinner, I think they're both just so lethal. It's like pick your poison anywhere you go. What are your expectations? You think one slam, 2 slams?
I think there's no way he's not gonna. I feel like rankings talk has to be separated from Grand Slam talk, because Sinner, I guess technically he could win all 4 slams, but I feel like the odds of that historically are just so slim. Just because you're number 1 in the world doesn't mean you're going to win all the majors. Who's going to be the hottest, at that major, playing their best tennis, and all the other variables, especially with the insane schedule. We're in December right now, the 1 month that tennis players are supposed to have off, and they have the next gen finils happening.
Yeah.
When's that? This week? Next week? Anyway, yeah, so even though it's the Wednesday. 1 month they have off, so guys like Mickelson and Feast and Mensick and our boy Lerner Tien are just all during my 1 month that I have off to recuperate, I still kind of want to win the next gen finals. I mean, João Fonseca, our absolute pod fave.
Oh, we'll get to him. But I think the biggest question is going to be this year's AO. Is Sinner gonna repeat as his win in the AO, back-to-back champions, or are we gonna see a rejuvenated Djokovic? Can anyone hang with this guy? Is Sinner only gonna get better, or does he prove at some point
this is another human? Yeah, well, this is another reason that rankings and slam talk have to be a little bit separate, because there's Djokovic. What is he, 6 or 7 in the world right now?
Well, the thing is, if you get a rough draw and he's 7 right now in the world, so theoretically he could just randomly get Djokovic in a quarterfinal.
He's gonna spoil. Yeah, he's gonna spoil somebody's quarter for sure. Make it very difficult. I mean, we saw a changing of the guard last year. I feel like In the Know tennis viewers would pretty much universally agree on that. That
Yeah.
look, yes, despite that otherworldly effort that Djokovic had in the Olympics, which was what it was 2 out of 3 sets, right? So that's
Yeah. So
another
that
thing
also
that
favors
helped
him.
Djokovic.
Yeah.
Yes, against the younger players, but um, who knows? Djokovic has proved, just like how Nadal proved everyone wrong in 2022, winning that Roland Garros, which I will never forget. I can't believe he just did that out of nowhere on one leg. Like Casper Ruud is just like, I cannot believe I saw him on crutches like the next
Yeah.
day after he beat me in the finals.
Just such taken for granted that win because he's like, oh, he wins it every year. But it's like he was literally like he was like borderline should have retired that year and gave us like 2 more years. So thank you,
Shout out to
Rafa, for
Nadal.
everything. Yeah, I was gonna throw him in as like
He was
a
playing he was playing fantastically this year. Every time I saw him playing, he had his vintage Nadal points. It's like, oh, okay, he's still Nadaling everyone. It's just the way that tennis is scored. It's like he just couldn't bring it again and again like he normally would. Like he was
yeah.
physically limited because if
It's
he
a very
pushed it too hard, then he knew he couldn't come back to the court.
it's a very grueling season, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
like Sinner went very deep in a lot of tournaments. How's his body going to hold up after a great year last year? The only really things I think AO, he's a favorite. U.S. Open, I would probably put him as the favorite too. Not just because he won both last year. I think he's just the best player on a hard court right now. Barring Zverev just like serving 90% first serves in, but I could see Sinner.
I don't see how he's not the favorite for every tournament. Like
No,
I
I
get
think
it, he's not a clay court or a grass court specialist, but I still think that he should probably go in as the favorite to win every one. That's just my
well
opinion.
the fact that he has so many points late in the season with the U.S. Open, with the ATP Finals, he's not going to have to defend those points until late in the year. So he's probably going to be the one seed, like in the rankings for a while, unless he, barring a catastrophic early exit at the AO. I think Sinner is going to be the number one player in the world up
Mm-hmm.
until if he lost at the U.S. Open and then like had a bad end of the season. But my big thing is I think grass is his worst surface. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
something with it where it's a little quicker, it's a little lower. He can't like rip it as much, and maybe Carlitos has like the superior footwork, the better hands at net, and that may be the only way. Like I always thought Sinner was going to be the number 2 guy on grass after Djokovic, but I think I was wrong about that. I think Carlitos has him on grass, especially I mean
Mm-hmm.
back-to-back Wimbledons for Carlitos, and we'll get more into him. But I think Wimbledon's going to be the tough one for Sinner to get. I think he gets a Roland Garros. I think Roland Garros is the most wide open slam, and I think he gets one of those before he gets a Wimbledon because Carlitos at
Yeah.
Wimbledon is just too good right now.
I mean, I think that Zverev and Alcaraz are probably my top two clay court players right now. Like, yeah, okay, Casper Ruud's okay, but he's gonna lose to those two guys. Um,
He's a good like get to the
Sinner,
final and then you just fade him in the final.
right? No, and I think that if Sinner runs into Zverev or Sinner runs into Alcaraz, those are the two guys that I can see beating Sinner on his worst surface, which is I think is clay. I mean, I don't know. You think it's grass? Maybe it's grass, but like I think
That might be
that
just recency bias because he lost to Medvedev last year, but we'll see.
I feel like grass favors like a power player's game, but also Carlos's touch and ability to seamlessly come into net and all of his intangibles really shine on grass. And clay, Sinner, yes, he's a great mover, but he's not the best mover that we have on tour. And Alcaraz, like the way that he moves, is unlike anything the sport has really seen before.
Yeah,
Like,
I think purely
I
from
feel
an
like that really
athletic.
shows on clay.
Yeah, I think Alcaraz is just a better athlete, but like Sinner is a better tennis player, especially from the baseline, where like Alcaraz has, like you said, the variety. but that's why Sinner's probably
Better
so
tennis
good.
player.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah. No one's a better tennis player than Alcaraz, but yeah.
Yeah,
No such thing. A better tennis player.
yeah. We'll go deep into Carlos, but just to wrap up Jannik, I guess my 2025 expectations were I don't think anyone can really challenge him, at least this year, for the number one spot, barring Zverev unlocking 10 years worth of potential and Carlitos like not having any injuries and just like absolutely destroying the clay season and everything. I think
I'm gonna say
Carlitos, if he has
I'm
a,
gonna say he's gonna win. He's gonna win both hardcore Grand Slams again. That's my prediction.
I
He's
like
gonna
that.
win AO and he's gonna win the U.S. Open, but that 1% or 2% difference on the clay and the grass, I feel like someone's gonna get him. You know, whoever runs into him later in the tournament when maybe he's not 100%. Like if he plays enough grueling matches, like anyone, you know, he runs into another capable top 10 player. Maybe they'll get him on clay and grass. So let's see.
Yeah,
I'm saying
no,
2 Grand Slams though.
I know. I'm also saying 2 Grand Slams, but I think he could surprise people at Roland Garros. I don't know if it's. I think he gets the AO. I'd be really surprised on a fast hard court. The way he's
that
playing,
semi
like
that semi with Alcaraz, and then the fact that Alcaraz bounced back from that five
yeah,
setter and did another 5-setter against Zverev, I wanted to cry.
kid's a joke.
That's so cool.
Alcaraz like only wants
That
to
was
win
also
Grand Slams if he wins a 5-set match. But yeah, I think we should go into Carlos Alcaraz, but rankings wise, let's keep this organized. Sascha Zverev.
Sasha.
Death by volume. He just played so many lower ranked tournaments and just ate so many points to get to 2 in the world. But some other notable results for him during the year at the AO quarterfinals, he defeated Alcaraz in 4 sets. I think he served like 85% first serves in. We'll talk about that all the time. And then he lost to Medvedev in the semifinals in a super close 5-set.
That was phenomenal.
That was an all-time epic.
50 shot rallies were the norm.
Yeah, like literally on the regular. That was when like both guys just literally had video game fitness. Like there was no tired. It was just play.
They're both 6'5", 6'6", just perfect groundies, just like not gonna miss, serving crazy.
The lungs of a deer. Like I wish I could get to that. Only in my wildest dreams will I ever be that fit. But
you have to play more Call of Duty like Medvedev.
Yeah, I hope that would translate. But he also won Rome. He had a little bit of an easier draw there. He beat Jari in the finals. Then Roland Garros, he made it all the way to the finals. Of course, he had a lead. He was up 2-1 on Carlitos. And then Carlos just went Super Saiyan and kind of waxed him in the pressure moments and won the final 2 sets. Wimbledon was the start of Taylor Fritz has his number, where he lost in the round of 16 to Fritz in 5 sets. And Fritz got him a couple more times the rest of the year. The Paris 1000 indoors he beat, but he also played Ugo Humbert in the finals. And then ATP finals, he was the steady number 2 favorite. He got all the way to the semis and again lost to Taylor Fritz in a 3rd set tiebreaker.
Was that Humbert's first ever loss in the final?
Ooh, that I don't know. But Ugo,
because I know at some point this year we were talking about how Humbert's never lost in the final of any tournament in his career for like no reason.
Yeah, let me look that up real quick, but I think you might be right on that.
Because if so, that's a more impressive win for whatever reason. Humbert, just the streakiest player. When he's on, he's just was unbeatable, and then Sasha was just like, well, what if I serve?
Yeah, but I thought 2024 was a great year for Sasha. I thought the year, because he rose from 7 to 2 in the rankings. He fully established he's back from his ankle injury. I think there's no injury concerns, no form concerns. And he is the type of, I know he also doesn't have the best success on grass, just historically at Wimbledon, but he is an all-court player, and he has the fitness and the volume of playing so many matches. I mean, he was 66-20. So that's like 86 matches. So is he going to try to defend all those points? Is he going to play a lot of lower ranked tournaments? I mean, you see guys like Sinner, he was like pretty much only playing 1000s and Grand Slams and like maybe a 500 here and there. Maybe Zverev tries to, do his schedule a little bit better. But
I think Zverev plays a very similar schedule to what he did last year, because I didn't see at any point. I think he's as physically fit as anyone out there. I didn't see any real physical concerns for him in 2024. I could be wrong, but none come to mind. So I think the way that he scheduled things were fine, and he made deep runs. And he lost in the quarters to Fritz at Wimbledon.
Yeah, Wimbledon was round of 16 to Fritz.
Oh, round of 16. But other than that, I feel like he always made the second, I guess that is the second week. So made the second week of all the slams, had some Master 1000 wins. Good show. Not a lot of early exits for him. So that was a great year for Zverev. He was always such a mental midget. Like,
it's always been the mental concerns,
early
not the
20s. Physical. Yeah, like his second serve yips were like on par with Sabalenka's. Like, just.
I think he's fixed that for the most part.
They both got over those.
Yeah, I think that has really unlocked him.
The best server. He's the best server, right? Maybe Hubie.
Yeah, Hubie was like hurt all last year. I mean, maybe like Pesci Paragon on his best day, but that's like saying John Isner is the best server. Yeah, like we'll get to him later.
GMP come out of the woodwork, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Zverev.
He's one to watch. Top 20 next year.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but maybe.
Top 30. He'll be a seed. He'll be a seed at majors, no doubt.
Yeah, he's like showing like his serve's too good, like his floor is too high. But I think Zverev probably, like in the top 25, has the best serve best first serve at least. And the crazy part about him, I feel like he's like so scared of his second serve. He just hits such a high percentage of first serves. So it's tough to beat. Like if he redlines like he did against Alcaraz, that AO match where he like got legitimately
75% first serves, or like,
it was like over 80, something ridiculous. Sometimes, but like
it's just unbeatable.
I know. I wrote down my expectations. I think he's going to lose to Fritz at some point in a Grand Slam. maybe like a quarterfinal or semi, probably at like the U.S. Open or something like that. I think he's going to lose to Carlos or Jannik in a slam final. Maybe win Roland Garros if he can avoid Carlos.
That's what I was saying. I think that I have him, if he runs into Sinner at Roland Garros specifically, I think I have Zverev winning that match. Zverev Alcaraz at Roland Garros, it's really a toss-up. Zverev against really anyone else. I mean, yes, there are those players that are clay merchants, like you call them, that they really show their best stuff on clay, but I think that's Zverev's best surface as well. So
yeah, I think Zverev with his length,
if he wins his first major in 2025.
Are we predicting
Roland
that?
Garros for me.
Is Coach Jeremy predicting that?
Yeah, you think Zverev winning Roland Garros. I would love to see Alcaraz win it. Obviously, he's my fave, but if Zverev's going to win, I think Roland Garros is the one.
I agree with that. If he is going to win one, Roland Garros is the one. Because I think the clay allows his length, his athleticism, and his defense to shine. Where I think the difference between like him and Sinner and Alcaraz, like Sinner and Alcaraz are both a little bit more lethal on the forehand wing. Like Sasha likes to rely on his backhand, especially when he opens up that down the line to end points, which is not super common for male players, I feel like, who mostly tend to rely on their forehands. If he can somehow, maybe that's like tactically wise, I don't know. It's not saying his forehand's bad. I'm just saying like that's not his main use or method to win points.
He's not so desperate. He's not so desperate to run around his backhand like a lot of players are. Like he's true. He kind of prefers it. He's like, oh, now I can really do some damage here. His forehand in the pressure moments is the one that breaks down, and his backhand is just like one of the most cash money shots that the sport has ever seen.
Willie one-hander only like Zverev's back two-hander. He's like the only, him and Jannik are like the only ones where I was like, that's a beautiful two-hander, and I gotta like give props.
No, I
But
love when Alcaraz does his two-hand topspin lob. That shot is
that is
like
lethal.
a thing of beauty.
That's
It's
true.
like he's hitting it over like 6'6" people like it's nothing, and it drops like right inside the baseline. Oh my god!
Yeah, with like 2 feet to spare, like that was never going out. But yeah, I think. See, that's the one thing where he played when like specifically the matchup with Jannik, like Zverev usually relies on that backhand advantage, but he doesn't have that against Sinner. So that is what kind of gives me hesitancy to pick him to beat him in the big moments.
And the Sinner to Zverev forehand to forehand matchup
is an advantage Sinner. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt for Sinner. But
I don't know if I could pick him to win Roland Garros.
Strangely, I think that Zverev has a little bit better, like of a better net game just from experience. Like he had no net game and was just a baseliner for most of his career, but as of recent, he's shown to have that like really good hands at net and added that dimension to his game. Not that Sinner showed, okay, he has every possible dimension in his game, but he, usually when he's coming into net, it's because he already won the point pretty much from the baseline.
Yeah.
Zverev can kind of create like at net still and like, win points that it looks like he's going to lose, like when he's a sitting duck at net, what Alcaraz also does all the time. So
yeah, he has deceiving hands at net for sure.
Yeah, Zverev's nice. Unlike our boy Tsitsipas, just fucking bricking every volley.
Oh god, he used to have good hands at net.
Tsitsipas fall from grace, eh? Out of the top 10.
We'll get to him. Yeah, he's 11 right now, so we might not even get to cover him. But
and Rune out of the top 10 this year too.
Yeah, he's 14. He's 13
Those are
right
just
now.
The two guys that I was thinking of.
Yeah,
I don't know if Dimitrov's even in the top 10, but I feel like Dimitrov had a great
he is.
year.
He's number
got
10.
Unlucky. Yeah,
from the live rankings I'm looking at. Yeah,
anyway,
to wrap up Zverev, you said he's going to win Roland Garros. I don't think Ayo. I don't know. I think Sinner wins that matchup. And I think as much as I like Sasha's game, it's just like until I see him like play in the pressure moments, be clutch and like win a match against these guys, like I can't bet it. Because like if I have to put money on it, it's like who do I trust in a fifth set on like a second serve, Sinner, Alcaraz, or Zverev? Like I'm picking the other guys. So like he might be different. The way he's talking is like I want to be better than these guys, which is crazy because he's 27 and they're like 5 years younger than him. So for him to acknowledge that he's got to get better to compete with these younger guys is going to be interesting. But let's see what strides he can make. I think he probably drops from his number 2 rank to number 3 by the end of the year.
Alcaraz overtakes him. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I don't think he'll win a Wimbledon. I don't know. I think we at least get him in a slam final at some point this year. Will he win it? Maybe, but definitely. I think he gets a slam final this year. That's my prediction. And finishes number 3 in the rank.
I agree. Last thing on the top 2 players in the world, though. What a scandalous year, eh?
My gosh, yeah.
We got Sinner with the drug test debacle, and then we have Zverev. I don't know if it was a few years old or what, but that he had that domestic abuse case. Yeah. It's like, ooh, like neither of those are looking. I mean, I'm sure that both have a decent explanation the way that things played out. I mean, it kind of seems like Zverev just kind of paid her off. So it's like, oh, so you were being kind of shitty, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the specifics
until I hear otherwise.
That.
I guess we just have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Sinner, same thing. Even though Simona Halep is pissed.
Yeah, I feel really bad for her.
Darren Cahill was always her coach, and now he's Sinner's coach. And like that weird dynamic that she was treated like for the same thing for all intents and purposes. Her case was treated completely differently.
Little sketchy, for sure. And and all the curious stuff coming out against Sinner, saying if he played him at the AO, he would get the crowd to turn into a riot. I was like, bruh. I was like, that would probably make Sinner play better, to be honest. But the name we've been saying a bunch of times, who might slip into the number 2 slot, I think, we got on deck next. 21-year-old, somehow, still so young, even though he's been on tour for like 4 years, Carlitos Alcaraz.
Is he playing the next gen finals next week?
Or do you have to be 20 or younger? I think it's 21 and under, but he could have played last year, which is just absurd. He was like number 2 or number 1 in the world, and then he
that would just be overkill.
He could have those poor kids. He would have just like Hamed Medvedev.
Medvedev.
That's what it is. I haven't heard it said in a while. But for Carlitos, it was a very jam-packed year. I feel like he played a lot of like exhibitions, and the Olympics was also a big focus for him. And he was doing a lot of like side stuff with Nadal, playing with him in his last year, like a very ceremonious like changing of the guard. But some of his notable 2024 results at the AO, quarterfinal loss to Zverev, as we've touched on. Indian Wells, that might be his best tournament. I think he's won that like 2 years in a row. The slow hardcore has just unlocked. He beat Medvedev in that finals.
Both years, right? 23 and 24, his year took off after, like during and then after Indian Wells for a couple months. So yeah, we'll have to look out for that. It
always feels like Carlos is like untouchable at Indian Wells and then like gets tired and loses Miami to Sinner. But let's see if that
and Miami's
changes
also
this year.
Sinner's favorite tournament, probably.
I think that was like the first Masters 1000 he's won, but I could be wrong on that. But for Carlitos, he won the Channel Slam apparently, winning Roland Garros in Wimbledon. Didn't even know that was a thing, which he did.
Oh yeah.
He's just the youngest player ever to do that, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure Nadal did that. You know, assuming whenever Nadal won Wimbledon, he probably won Roland Garros that year.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as young.
Yeah, I see here on his Wikipedia, youngest player to do that. He was the second youngest man to win all of his first 4 major finals after Roger Federer. So if you get Carlitos in a major final, good luck trying to beat him.
Poor Casper Ruud.
Yeah, he's the youngest player to win majors on 3 different surfaces. And he also won his first 3 majors on 3 different surfaces, which is absurd.
Wow.
He already broke into the top 10 for career prize money. He's only 21 years old.
What? Wait, that's a crazy stat.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat. Broke into top 10 for highest career prize money. He's in 9th.
And he still would be like outside the top 200 basketball players in the world. But
yeah, I know. Seriously, that's a whole other debate we got. But yeah, I mean, this kid's just breaking records left and right.
This guy's doing that for both him and Sinner. Tennis is in good hands with those two. Fuck all that Six Kings Slam bullshit that they were trying to lump Holger Rune in the same category as Alcaraz and Sinner, because that's a joke to me. It's like they're listing all their accolades, and then they're like, and Holger Rune, he won this one Masters 1000 like 2 years ago. So he's like sick too. He's a king. Like, bro, what are you guys talking about?
I know, there's levels to this shit, and once you got a Grand Slam to your name, you're viewed differently in our eyes and in tennis's eyes. Yeah, Medi is there.
Oh, didn't Delpo officially retire this year as well?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
But for
Delpo, Dami team, Heartbreak City, man. Those are 2 of my favorite players. Stan Wawrinka is still kicking, which is hilarious. He's
like 39.
He's such a beast. I'm sure next year Stan will probably call it, but who knows? I'm sure he's having a great time.
Hey man, I modeled my one-hander after Stan Wawrinka. Please play forever. He's one of the last like Tsitsipas is inspiring probably like nobody to get a one-hander. Wawrinka still does. Him and Lajovic are like proof that you can play in today's game with a one-handed backhand.
Yeah, Dimitrov. I love the way Dimitrov,
Musetti
between his slice and his...
Give me all the one-handers in 2025. But
Breakout year for Musetti. I'm a little bit surprised that Musetti didn't get in the top 10, but
we'll
you
get to
know,
that for me. That might be
yeah.
part of one of my bold predictions. But
Oh, there you go.
for the rankings change, Carlitos actually went down a spot. Last year he ended at world number 2. Now he's world number 3. As we said before, that was a lot to, he went out very early at the U.S. Open to Botic Van de Zandschulp, which looking back was probably like one of the craziest upsets.
Oh yeah,
But the Olympic
that was crazy.
the fatigue after the Olympics really was coming for him and Djokovic's head. So you got to
Yeah,
anticipate a fresh Carlitos being a threat to win the U.S. Open. And then, yeah, he was 49-12 for the year, and seeing that 12 seems high. He probably gets under less than 10 losses next year, I would assume, which is just absurd.
you can compare and contrast Sinner and Alcaraz's years like that. Like, yes, Alcaraz had more, uh, you know, losses that were shocking. Like when he played Queen's Club and he lost to Draper, like pretty convincingly. It looked like he was like trying new things and playing out of his comfort zone. And I feel like in general, like that's one thing that separates Sinner and Alcaraz is that Alcaraz takes a lot more risk, and people are always criticizing him for that. And like all these players who haven't accomplished as much as Alcaraz already has in their careers are saying, "Oh yeah, well, the one thing that he can improve on is just being smarter and taking less risks." But it's like I disagree with that because I think that's what makes his game so special, and he perfectly encapsulates like why the scoring system in tennis is so great. Because he'll just lose the first set to journeyman McGee, and then come back and win 6-1, 6-0, in the second
Yeah.
and third, and it's like what just happened? Meanwhile Sinner's just rock solid and steady, but then in form Alcaraz taking all these crazy risks and hitting the shots that only he could hit goes against Sinner playing his steady game, and it's just an absolute show. And it's like, well, Alcaraz has, he's just shown time and again that he has the game that when he's on, he can beat anyone that has ever played tennis, like in history. Like
Yeah.
like in-form Djokovic, bring on in-form Sinner,
Yeah.
etc. Alcaraz can rise to that occasion. And look, they both got 2 Grand Slams last year. So,
how can you say
Sinner's number
one's
1,
better?
Alcaraz
Yeah.
is number 3, so Sinner's better. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if you can really say that. It's
Like
not.
the
It's not so simple.
like the fact that he won 2 Grand Slams and we're saying like he could have won more, it just goes to the fact how just ridiculous he is. Like
Yeah.
he already has 4 Grand Slams. And I have for my 2025 expectations, I think there's no one close to him on grass. Now that unless Djokovic like absolutely like served lights out and Carlos has that bad day, I don't think anyone can really touch him on grass. I think that is just like
who's going to be dangerous on grass this year, as
Petchy
long as he can
Paracard.
qualify. No, Kyrgios.
Oh,
If
that would be
Kyrgios can
fun.
as long as Kyrgios is able to play in the main draw at Wimbledon, look out.
That's a guy you
Because
don't want
if
to
he
see.
plays anything like he did in 2022, there's like I recently rewatched the Tsitsipas Kyrgios match
Oh, that's
and forgot how insane that level was. Like that was Tsitsipas playing his absolute best, and Kyrgios just rose, and he was being such a dick, but like it's fine because the tennis was so good.
it's like if you piss off Kyrgios, he just gets better. Like don't. I feel like he likes Carlitos. Now he's so anti-Sinner that he's probably gonna like go all out for Sinner. But Kyrgios, I don't want to get my expectations too high, expecting that
No,
level,
you
which
can't.
was
You'd
like
be so
it was
stupid to
like
bet on him.
yeah,
So silly.
I'm just gonna like root for him to try to find that form again, and hopefully he does. And that would be so awesome for tennis because we need more villains, and he's just the classic like, what if? Like, oh, what if he reached his potential? It's like, let's see him try to actually do it. Like stop saying like I'm like one of the only people to beat all three of the big three. It's like, okay, let's see if you could actually put in the work and try to win a Grand Slam or like a singles Grand Slam. Sorry, the double is not going to discount that one.
Kokonok is the cock on Instagram.
Yeah. But I mean, it was such a bummer after the high that Kyrgios was at, just to like not be able to play much at all last year. It was such a bummer. But big things coming at the AO.
Remember when he didn't play at Roland Garros because of like a carjacking or something?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? He just got like robbed? That was so bad. Ugh.
I just couldn't believe that. I was like, I didn't think that he was going to play. Like, it wouldn't be the first time that he skipped out on the French Open. Like, I'm pretty sure the year before he was just like, he didn't even try. He was just like, yeah, I don't give a shit about the French, mate. I'm just focusing on, Wimbledon. And then I thought it was a hoax at first. I guess it was a legitimate story. Who knows? But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, enough of Kyrgios. Let's wrap up Carlitos. I think he wins Wimbledon. I think it would be crazy for him to not make a semi or final in Roland Garros, because that's when I think the only people that could beat him on clay are probably Sinner and Zverev.
Or semi or final, no doubt.
Or like or a steroid, or like a steroided up Djokovic maybe. I think the AO has always been his toughest slam because we've seen another area where I guess if you had to pick like a worse surface, it would be like the faster hard courts. And I don't even think that's just because like he's weak on there. It's just like so many other players, like that's like their main strength.
And sometimes he struggles to get those
big hitters
quick. Well, I was going to say that, but against big hitters, I don't know. I think
Jan-Lennard Struff.
Yeah. But what the big hitting part is, they're having easy service games, and he's having to work harder in his service games because his first serve can be a little erratic, like more erratic than a lot of the other players at the top of the game, and he navigates it because he's Carlos. But
I think he also said in a recent interview that doing well at the AO and winning the AO is like a main goal of his year, which is real tough because if you don't win it, it's like, is the whole year a failure? Because he's also chasing at 21 years, 0.6 years old. He's already chasing
the career slam.
The career slam. And he's got one left, which is like,
it's awesome.
Obviously that's his main focus, is winning this slam. So it's like,
it took Fed what Federer won the French in 2009.
Yeah.
Over our boy Robin Soderling, my Swedish brother, right?
Craziest.
Was he from Sweden? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. But
I'll never forget that interview with Soderling in the finals against Federer. And he was like, I was joking with my coach. Nobody beats Robin Soderling 10 times in a row. Because Federer literally in his career was 10-0 against him.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
he would be an all-time guest to get on the pod. Robin Soderling. Put that on the dream guest list.
What channeled that God mode match against Nadal is like, bro, I don't know. I woke up that morning, that coffee hit different.
It's like, what did you eat? Like, what time did you go to bed? Like, oh gosh. But yeah, I think to wrap up Carlitos, I think he wins Wimbledon. I think he makes an AO semi or final, and I think he probably. I don't think he wins I don't know. I'm struggling with the Roland Garros pick. But I think he's going to do way better at the U.S. Open than we have seen him in years past since he's won it. So I think that's a slam where we could see him really give Sinner a test at.
Yeah, I mean, that whole...
that's also like 8 months in the future.
Exactly. The whole clay swing... I feel like throughout the clay swing this year, Carlos wasn't as dominant as people were expecting.
He wasn't at all. He
I
lost
mean,
to
yeah, he
Rublev
won Roland
in
Garros,
Madrid.
but I don't think he won any other. Did he win Barcelona? I don't think so.
I don't think he even played. I think now I'm trying to remember it. I think he was like dealing with some injury concerns during the
At
clay
Rio, he
season,
lost
which
to
is why he
Nori,
didn't win
right?
like all three 1000s.
Mm-hmm.
But
At
yeah, I think
Rio, Carlitos didn't show up, and our boy João Fonseca stole the show.
true. We'll get future tennis star. But yeah, I think for next year we see Sinner 1, Carlitos 2, Zverev 3.
Mm-hmm.
And will the American number 1, which I feel like we say this every year, can Taylor Fritz hold on to that 4 slot? He's
No.
currently number 4 in the rankings right now. 27 years old. In 2024, 51 and 22. Some of his notable results: AO quarterfinal loss to Djokovic in 4, never really had a chance. I guess I had to put him winning Del Rey over Tommy Paul, which is like, of course, he's just milking up 250 points in America. Madrid semifinal loss to Rublev. He won Eastbourne over Purcell. Wimbledon, he quarterfinal loss to Musetti in 5 sets after he beat Zverev, which was kind of surprising.
I remember
Musetti's success on grass was a huge
he got to the semis.
boost. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was insane. And then, of course, probably one of the biggest matches of Fritz's career, U.S. Open final loss to Sinner, and then ATP finals loss to Sinner as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see Taylor Fritz holding on to this?
That, I mean, look, results don't lie. He won some crucial matches in 2024 against, I really had no idea. Fritz plays against Medvedev. Fritz plays against, I guess Rublev's a little bit of a different story. I feel like Rublev had a really bad season by his standards this year. But still, like, I would see Fritz is going to play Rublev. Fritz is going to play Dimitrov. He's going to play Hurkacz if Hurkacz wasn't injured. I'm like, it looks like a pick-em to me, And like even Tommy Paul and Ben Shelton, like you go top 15. I'm still like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like Fritz would have a convincing victory against most of those guys. Like I would kind of still. Even though he had successful results against them last year, I would still kind of say pick him, Dimitrov, Fritz. I don't know. Maybe I'll go Dimitrov. Who knows?
Yeah, depending on the day, depending on the surface.
Yeah, so I think it's very unlikely that Fritz stays in his 4 spot. And if he proves me wrong, that's great. He's repping, being the number 1 American player kind of by far now. Like he was not. There was a point this year earlier, lest we forget, that it was him. I don't know what the exact number was, but I think it was like he was 14, Paul was 15, Shelton was 16, and then Tiafoe was like a little bit behind them, at like 19, 20, and then Korda was like 26, 27 or something like that. So he just had at some point in 2024, he just had a surge that he pulled away from, like separated himself from the rest of the American pack. But it really would not surprise me much if he comes back down to earth a little bit. Medvedev, I don't like watching Medvedev. He does not. He's not super exciting to watch, but he, the chess master out there, he might come back for that 4 ranking, or who knows, maybe a wild card will come in and take that 4 ranking. Probably not Rublev.
Maybe like that hot young prospect Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has a lot of potential.
I've heard good things about him.
A lot of upside with that Djokovic guy. Do big things one day.
Yeah, but all in all, I mean, you have to say Taylor's 2024 season was a success. He rose from 10 to 4 in the rankings, got to a slam final. That was like a big thing. I don't think he's ever gotten to a slam final. No. I think we saw the clear tier gap when he played Sinner in that final. And I think there is even in the rankings, there's a well-established gap between, 1, 2, 3, huge dip, him and Medvedev. So it's like he's probably in that second tier, but I agree with what you said before. He's probably like the top of the second tier, but he's also close to those guys in that second tier where it's like he's capable of those wins, and he's not like as dominant of those other guys where they're going to be massive favorites over everyone. Like Taylor, I think he ends the year American number 1. His serve and his forehand are always going to make him a weapon, a lethal force to be reckoned with. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but
it just rolls off the tongue. A lethal force to be reckoned with. No, I would be surprised if he drops out of the top 10. We could put it that way. I feel like he will stay in the top 10.
I think he's closer to a top 5 player than he is to like where he's been the majority of his career, is like hovering around that 10 range. So now it's like, okay, Taylor, you say you want to hang with Carlos and Sinner. Let's see it. Start bending those knees on the footwork. I know your backhand's consistent and you can hit it cross court all day, but that's not going to fly against Sinner when he's got that lethal of a backhand, or Zverev, even though he matches up well with Zverev somehow. But I thought, especially against Sinner in the U.S. Open final, Taylor's lack of shot making on the backhand wing kind of exposed him. And if you want to compete with these guys, your backhand can't just be like a consistent rallying tool. It has to be like capability. You have to instill a little bit of fear in your opponent that you could do something with it to, open up the court patterns. But Fritz is an incredibly smart, like tactically player. I think he plays like the angles and patterns well. And I'm excited to see if he can get better. I think he's like, you could see like there's areas of improvement for him to do, to get better, which is like, if he does that, if he finally tunes the small avenues of his game to like kind of close the margin, maybe he can win a Grand Slam. I don't know if that happens in 2025. It would be cool to see an American. Does he have the best shot of any American to win one in recent projections? Probably, yeah, unless Ben Shelton learns how to return.
That is holding Shelton back for sure.
It seems easier said than done with him. But, I mean, there's just too many times watching Fritz where, like, I'm like, how is he, like, playing with straight legs? Like, you see guys like Dimitrov that are just, like, in super wide, athletic, like, Federer stances, and Fritz's legs are like, is he bending his knees right now? Like, he is, like, he's, like, 6'5", I think, and a big hitter, so maybe he doesn't need that elite of a movement. But if he gets that, I think I watched shout out to Roddick in the Surf podcast. He said one time a coach came and like evaluated him. He's like, you have average footwork at best. And he's like, I never even like thought of it like that. So
he's saying
I think
Jimmy Connors said that to Roddick. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So I forgot who said it, but yeah, I mean, I think that's like someone needs to just like only work on that with Fritz. Cause if he gets that, like if he gets like Sinner footwork, he could do it, I think this year proved he's got the talent. It's just like, does he want it? Does he want to get better? Because that's the name of the game in tennis. If you don't get better, if you stay the same, you're getting worse because everyone else is getting better.
But yeah, let's see how he does.
Yeah, I don't think he ends the year ranked number 4. Would be great. But I think he can stay in the top 5. If he can stay in the top 5 this year, that would be a success. If he can find himself in a slam semi or even another final, that would be a success. I don't think he makes the U.S. Open final again. I think that was like a one-off thing.
It was a little fluky that some notable players were out that he might have lost to, like Alcaraz, Djokovic, etc. I'd be interested to see how Fritz stacks up to Medvedev. Because
that's
Medvedev
a big debate.
Has a kind of neutralizing game, and Fritz would need to go out of his. He's usually the steadier player of whoever he's playing against. So Fritz would need to come out of his comfort zone, and maybe he's equipped to do that. But I hope they match up because I think that could be a very even matchup.
Yeah, I think that's
going to be especially.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good talking point. I feel like throughout the year, it's like who's the top of that next group? Is it Medvedev? Is it Fritz? Is Djokovic still in the top group? But we're gonna find out. And I think
Holger
Fritz,
Rune, follow on the wings of Patrick Mouratoglou, just gonna come out of nowhere and be the sixth king. Who knows?
it's like, is there enough room in the top 10 for Rublev or for Rune? These are questions we need answers to.
Is it which is the top 10 of Ruud or Rune? It's always one or the other.
Casper's got his number, but
he kills him with kindness.
Who do you think?
He's just gonna be his older brother forever.
This is a good segue into the next player. Who do you think ends the year on top, Medvedev or Fritz?
I don't know if Medvedev is going to hang on to his top 5 spot, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, because same idea. Medvedev kind of owns Rublev in their career head-to-head, from my understanding. I thought Dimitrov was going to beat Medvedev 100% if he hadn't had that injury at Wimbledon. I was so pissed off when that happened.
Same, dude. I was ready to bet Dimitrov so huge.
He was playing phenomenal. He was playing like one of the better grass court players, so he's another one to watch. He would be in my top 5 favorites at Wimbledon in 25. Grigor, yeah. He's a great all-court game for grass. That slice is really nice.
Baby fed.
Bars. But, yeah, baby fed. Sick on grass. Let's see. Hurkacz, too, you would expect him to be dangerous on grass. Let's see if Hubie... Because Hubie, at times, was looking like he could be the next number 4 and number 5 player. So let's see how Hurkacz, when his serve is on, he's such a tough out. He's another guy that, if he's able to return well, that makes a big difference for him, and it could boost his upside. I think it's shaky. I think it's shaky that Medvedev stays where he's at, but he could do it. I mean, he's very mentally strong.
Yeah, but do you think he's maximized his potential with his awkward technique?
Whatever he was doing against Sinner,
he also snuck
was
attack.
crazy in those first 2 sets
of the
I
AO.
feel like Sinner was kind of playing shitty too.
That was like a sneak attack, though. Remember,
right?
Because Daniil loves to just bucker down, play defense, out rally you, and I think Sinner expected him that, and then Medvedev just came out Neo Federer,
running
just going,
to net, coming into net all the time.
We got Medvedev. Is that?
We have Medvedev. We had Medvedev.
Are we gonna see Medvedev in 2025?
Hey, the AO.
That's the thing.
What I wanted to bring up, the AO is probably Medvedev's best chance to win a major.
Yeah.
Yes, he won the U.S. Open, but I feel like I would expect him to play his best at the AO. I don't know why.
I think he's been in multiple AO finals where he just lost to Djokovic, and he lost last year and had it.
He played phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's very. I mean, he did not have an easy road to almost winning the AO, as most on-time court or most court time of all time.
Yeah.
Right, of any player in an AO.
Yeah, quarterfinals 5 sets with Hubie, semifinals 5 sets with Zverev, and just goes 5 sets with Sinner in the finals.
He had 5 setters earlier in the draw too. Yeah,
second round and over Rusevori 5 sets. He bageled Emil in the 5th set. Wow.
The Finnish boy wonder.
Yeah. Watch out for him. He'll rise in the rankings this year. He's 97 in the world right now, which is crazy because I feel like he's such an established top 50 player, which is crazy.
Yeah. He was just injured
to
for
see
a
him
while.
that low. Yeah. Medvedev.
You just said Medvedev.
I know. I got that on the head. He fell in the rankings from 3 last year to 5. I think a lot of it is draw dependent, how he matches up with certain players when he faces Jannik and Sinner. Does he have a secret weapon he could use to beat those guys?
I mean, Carlos.
Or a strategy, to
he said
win.
Jannik and Sinner.
My bad. um, to win a Grand Slam, to win another Grand Slam.
The odds
But
are he's gonna have to beat one or both of those guys to do it.
yeah,
So
I agree, and
let's
that's
see.
the standard we're holding people to now, because those guys aren't going anywhere. So I think a lot of it is draw dependent, and I think it's going to be tough because now he's not have his own quarter. It's Fritz right now going into the AO. They're very close in the rankings, so I'm sure both of those guys are going to be grinding in like Brisbane and Adelaide to get those extra points. I don't
Hmm.
know what the point cutoff is for the AO draw, but that four seed is like Fritz is 5,100 points and Medvedev is 5,030 points. So
Wow,
that would be sweet if they played at like a lower level 250 in the AO prep, and it's
that'd be
like
cool.
winner gets the draw, you know. And then it'd be cool if they were in the same draw and played each other. But I think we're going to be comparing those guys a lot this year, and
Yeah,
I think Medvedev is going to be the gatekeeper to the top five. Probably finish around like 5 or 6. Maybe make like a slammer semi here and there, but I don't.
mm.
He's 28, closer to 29. I think I just don't see like his ceiling for me has always been lower than those other guys, but his floor
Yeah.
is
I would be
just
shocked
so
if he
high.
wins. If he wins a slam this year, I would be shocked. But he's
He
one
can
of the
do
few
it.
that
He's
could
done
do
it
it.
before. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he makes the ATP finals like number 5, 6 in the world probably. AO is going to be tough this year to see how he does, but yeah,
Hmm.
big year for Medvedev. I feel like because this is like
Hmm.
a make or break year. It's like, is he ever going to win a slam again? Is he not? Like, I
Is
just
is Rublev 6 or is
Casper Ruud is 6
oh,
out of nowhere.
how? Let me know.
I was like, I'm trying to think of like his notable results, and I'm like, did he have any? Casper actually went from 11 to 6 in the world last year, but yeah, he had went 49 and 25. I feel like he pretty much always just struggles on hard court until he gets to clay season and just picks up an absurd amount of points.
Hmm.
He has a lot of points to pick up in Australia because last year he lost in the round of 32 to Cam Norrie. Then he played like the South American hard courts. All right, Sunshine Double. Monte Carlo, he lost in the finals to Stefanos because Stefanos has to win that one every year.
Yeah, women
Ruud
have
then beat him in
why?
Barcelona, and
Right.
and then Ruud also is defending semifinal points in Roland Garros, which he also got a little bit lucky too because he had a withdrawal from Djokovic in the
Hmm.
quarterfinals. So it's like, do we think
Grain
he
of
could get
salt.
back to that? Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, after it's always like post clay season, he's just like an average, not average, but like,
Grassy's a third round at best.
yeah, he literally made
Early
it to
exit
he
guarantee.
literally lost to Fognini last year in the second round. So anything is possible for Casper Ruud at Wimbledon.
Fabio.
He
That's crazy.
Casper openly says like, I don't care about Wimbledon. I do no grass prep. Like, I don't even know if he
He's like the
trains on.
opposite of Kyrgios.
Yeah, there's no chance he trains on a grass court more than like a week leading up to Wimbledon.
Yeah.
But he somehow always picks up enough clay points to like barely make the
Ditto
ATP
ATP.
finals. Yeah, somehow, and then he loses like every year because he's not an indoor hardcore player. But I feel
Yeah.
like
I
that's
think
really my
I think
expectation for him.
he has uh, some of the highest RPMs on both of his ground strokes. Like his two hander, he really gets over it effectively, and his forehand is such a heavy topspin on it that when he's really on the baseline, he's like creaming it. He can do some damage to it at a certain level, but then just the very top of the game have TMG for him.
Yeah,
So that's where he comes up short. No, good for him. Honestly, he had a lot of impressive wins last year. So results don't lie. That's why he's number 6.
yeah,
I feel like he has you know, maybe another either quarter or semifinal run at Roland Garros. Maybe one of either the AO or the U.S. Open. Maybe he'll make a deep run to the quarters or semis. I don't see him making a final of a major.
It's
Probably
just
winning
tough.
at least one like Masters 1000 or 500 or something through the year, but
Yeah,
unsure if he's going to be top 10 by year end 25.
I think
Very
top
just
10 he
up in the
falls
air.
out.
It's possible for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say like he's probably really fighting between 8 and 10 for that last like ATP
Yeah,
final spot.
yeah,
Um, I just think it's tough for him because Roland Garros is like the most wide open, I think, with the most like people that are like really good on clay. And
yeah.
that's like and he's defending semis points there. And that's a huge chunk of his points. So it's like if he doesn't back that up, like he's in trouble to miss it.
Mm.
I think US Open, when he made that final, he had a favorable draw. So maybe on the slower ish hard court, he could like make a run. But I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think he's closer to outside the top 10 than like an established top 8 player, which
Yeah.
sucks because I like him. He's like a really. How do you
He's
hate
a good
Casper Ruud?
temperament. He's a great
Yeah,
temperament.
yeah. And he's one of the hardest workers on tour. He's like super fit, like just a grinder. But he's
Mm.
just one of those guys. It's like his ceiling isn't the same as the other guys, just the way he plays, especially off clay. Um, And maybe if he just doesn't have to play Djokovic or Nadal in a Roland Garros final, maybe he can win it. But I don't see it for him, unfortunately, in 2025. But the next
He has a
guy in
really
the
hot sister.
rankings,
He has a really hot sister too. But just side note,
yeah,
if
and his like he just proposed to his girlfriend, so maybe that's a bump. But of course his girlfriend looks like exactly like his sisters, so it's like,
pause, yeah.
it's
What are
like what's
those
going on?
Norwegians doing? He also
Yeah,
shout out to Casper Ruud for being a fellow Norwegian like myself. Even though I'm only like 15%, I'm gonna own it.
yeah, you
No,
claim a
I'm
lot of.
actually 25. I'm 25% Norwegian. So
I feel like you claim like all of like the Nordic uh, countries,
oh,
but
for sure, Scandinavian.
we've touched on
Anyway,
this guy, the next guy in the rankings, big name, Novak Djokovic, 37 and a half years old. 2024 went 32 and 10 somehow, not playing a lot of tournaments. His only
how
goal, I
about
feel like,
yeah? When Elliot Loney started, I'll let you give all the statistics, but Elliot Loney was doing his Djokovic impersonation. He's like, "I have the body of a 13-year-old boy, the internal organs of a 13-year-old boy."
like he's
I,
37, but he does have like the body of like a 30-year-old. You know, it's not
oh
like
yeah,
he's not an Nadal 37. He's like closer to like 32, 33. Like he's probably like that's why I was gonna say like I think last year his only goal was win the Olympics, complete tennis,
monofocus.
get the last trophy that he hasn't had. Because
Yeah,
there's no way he's going to win the next Olympics. So I think like that was his main focus: is be ready, prep, win the Olympics, and he did it. Good for him.
just like he did his whole career, delivered. That next year is going
Don't
to
get me
be
started.
yeah. Next year is definitely going to be. He's going to answer a lot of questions with just his results. Um, because as of right now, it's looking like it's kind of the end of an era. He's on his way out, but he's so physically fit. Um, I wouldn't be surprised unless he doesn't get good results and he's just like, all right, look, I guess maybe I should just kind of leave now and not put myself through more years on the tour because he doesn't have to. But he could be playing until he's like 42, 43. That would not surprise. I would be more surprised if he didn't play in his 40s than if you know
Yeah, like how
if he
bad of a
did.
year does he have to call it quits?
I feel like he's not going to retire for another 5 years. I would be.
He,
He could even play in the next Olympics, but let's see.
that
We'll
would be
cross that bridge.
crazy.
We'll cross that bridge when we
Imagine
get there.
he's just like Tom Brady. He's like, I'm not retiring until I'm 45. But it's like,
Yeah.
dude, go raise your kids. But
Mm.
he dropped from 1 to 7 in the rankings. I think that goes up because he has a lot of points to pick up throughout the year, especially only if he plays slams.
AO's always been his best tournament in his career.
Yeah,
consistently.
And last year he looked very like iffy against Sinner.
It was a meek performance against Sinner. Can't give Sinner all the credit for that win. Like he played great, but Djokovic was not.
He wasn't the best Djokovic we've seen in years past. So there's a lot of questions about him. I think he'll be more rejuvenated going into the AO because I feel like he hasn't played. He's had like a good break after the early exit in the U.S. Open. He really only played like Shanghai, so he's really taken like a full good off season.
He has a lot of opportunities, like you said. Yeah, he has a lot of opportunities to play a few more than he did last year.
Yeah,
I think he's fine.
Even if he plays like just the 1000s, like he's going up in the points.
He's probably going to be in the top 4. Like more, I would be very surprised if he did not end in the top 4.
Like by the time U.S. Open comes around, he's the 4 seed.
He should have his own quarter. He really should.
Yeah, that was
even Roland Garros or Wimbledon. He might, I don't know how drastic the point differential is between him and Fritz right now, but I could see him usurping Fritz for that 4 spot.
Yeah, and Fritz has like
hurdling Medvedev too.
Fritz has like almost 1,200 points, so like definitely could happen. Do we think he wins a major in 2025?
Best chance is Wimbledon. Would you agree? Or AO?
Carlitos beat him pretty bad last year.
Yeah, and the Olympics was 2 out of 3, and it was so tight that Djokovic won. But I don't know. I mean, do you think Djokovic has a better chance at the AO or Wimbledon? I'm a little conflicted, but I think there are so many other guys that have a great chance at AO. That's going to be harder. Meanwhile, Wimbledon, Djokovic is the most experienced player on grass, so he's probably top 3 pick in Wimbledon.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Roland Garros is probably a little bit physical demanding at this point, where you got guys like Zverev and Carlitos.
He barely beat Musetti at Roland Garros, and then he was just gassed the next match, right?
I want
to say it was the quarters.
That was the Olympics. The Olympics, he beat Musetti in the semis and then beat Carlitos in the finals.
No, they played at a slam.
Yeah, Roland Garros, he beat Musetti in round 32. Then he beat Cerundolo, and then
those were 2 grinding matches.
Yeah, the
absolute grinding matches.
He was a back-to-back 5-setters, and then he just withdrew against Casper.
Mm-hmm.
So like that
story of Ruud's career, just the lucky player. But.
Yeah, but I don't. So I think Roland Garros is probably out for him. I think for the most part, when you have guys like Zverev and Carlitos who can go 5 sets for days.
Mm-hmm.
Wimbledon and AO, I agree, are probably his best chances. I think he puts up a way better effort at the AO this year against Sinner. And then the U.S.
I think the draw is really important at the AO for him.
Especially him being a 7 seed, yeah.
If he's able to somehow avoid Sinner, Alcaraz, Medvedev, Zverev, give him a decent chance against Fritz.
I think he could beat Zverev if he gets in that quarter. You don't think? If it was
of course.
If it's a quarter, if it's Djokovic Zverev quarterfinal, who you got at the AO?
So hard to predict, man. That's so tough.
That's a coin toss right now.
Because that Medvedev Zverev semi was so incredibly high level. The Medvedev was this close to winning it, so it's like. Either, it could have been Zverev or Medvedev winning the AO so easily last year.
Yeah, true.
But
I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah, but let's say Zverev Djokovic would be a crazy match. It's gonna be a crazy match. Whoever Djokovic, whatever top, I want to say he would run into the 2 seed, so it would be Zverev, right?
I
If
think
he,
they
assuming he
they
stays
randomize it.
7.
Yeah, they
Oh, maybe they
randomize it, but it
randomize it,
would be.
but
I think
yeah,
for the most part they do. But yeah, if the numbers hold, it would be Zverev he gets.
yeah,
So
in the
we'll see.
quarters, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait for the draw to come out. But
Same.
I can imagine. But yeah, I think he obviously goes up in the rankings, barring like physical injury.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think I'm closer to him regaining top 4, top 5 than him retiring because
Mhm.
that he ain't going anywhere
Right.
unless his wife is like, please retire. Um, let's finish out the top 8 with
Yeah.
with a hot and cold player. Some would call hot-headed. Andrey Rublev,
Yeah.
27 years old. Rough one for him this year, I'd have to say. 43 and 27. His rankings, he went down from 5 to 8. A lot of memes of him hitting himself in the leg with his racket. Like, what is
Curse
your
the.
take on that? Is that obviously it's not good, but
It's concerning. He's such like he just seems like literally mentally unstable. And like off the court, he's like the chillest guy. He's so cool, but he's like most likely to seriously injure himself on the court. It's like concerning to watch, but whatever. I get it. He's being fiery and showing that how much he cares, but like it's not helping. It doesn't help him. Yeah, I think he just needs to chill the fuck out. Honestly, Rublev.
I don't think it helps
Um,
him, you know? Because if it was one
he
thing
went
if he
he went
played,
on a he went on a serious after he had that altercation with the Lions person. He went on a serious slide.
yeah, he
He must
did.
have lost what 5 matches. You could probably see
Yeah,
five
I'm looking
matches in
at.
a row or 6, like something really bad.
He had a couple stretches where he didn't
Yeah,
do great. Like, was that
yeah.
like Dubai? I forget when he
Hmm.
hit him. After he lost to Bublik in Dubai, he beat Andy Murray, which is like rip to Andy Murray.
Yippee! Yeah,
Also
yippee!
retired, which was sad.
Oh, true.
But then he lost to Lehechka, Mahak, Poprin, and Nakashima, and
Hmm.
then and then just randomly won Madrid.
Those are all matches. Those are all matches that you would expect him to win, and he lost
Exactly.
all 4 in a row, which is shocking.
And
Yeah, the Madrid win was absolutely out of nowhere.
and then he just goes on to beat like Fokina, Griekspoor, Alcaraz, Fritz, Felix in Madrid and wins Madrid. And then
Crazy.
loses Rome to Andre Mueller, who I'm always out
What?
on, and then lost into Roland Garros to Arnaldi, then lost to
Hmm.
Garone and Hala. I don't even Comenzana. Sorry, Francisco Comenzana. I don't really familiar with your game, but
He's
that's who that.
Argentinian, right? Yeah,
That's
he's pretty
who
good.
Rublev lost to at Wimbledon. And
Well,
then
on
yes,
Wimbledon, that's surprising.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. There was a lot of bad stretches for Rublev. That Madrid final or win kind of saved him.
Hmm.
He's still like, is it? He's never been to a quarterfinals of a slam, or is it semis? I forget. He's
It's the
definitely never been to the
semis.
semis. Yeah,
He's the
he's never been
quarterfinal.
past the quarter. Yeah,
He's always losing in the quarters. Before the quarters,
yeah.
he's like untouchable, and he gets the semis and loses, which is insane. I think he's in danger of dropping out of the top 10 for sure.
If
Next year, you know, big year for him, opportunity for him to regain his equilibrium a little bit and uh, show why he was like, at that 5-6 range for a few years in a row. Like he was like the Thomas Burditch of the last generation. See if he can, get back to that, or if he's gonna be replaced by a Dimitrov or a Shelton or Hurkacz.
Stefanos,
Who's if someone's gonna usurp him, let's see.
but I think Rublev he hovers around probably that like Casper Ruud range of like, is he going to make the ATP finals? Is he not?
Yeah,
Um, if he if he just improves his mentals a little bit, I think he does better than last year. So he probably remains in that top 8 because he does have such a lethal game, like his forehand and backhand serve.
He's a bit of a one-trick pony.
Mover.
Yeah, he's a bit of a one-trick pony
yeah.
that he's just going to hit colossal ground strokes, but
he's allergic to the net.
Yeah, people can just pick apart his game at the highest level. I feel like
yes,
that's why he's been top 10 so convincingly for 3-4 years now.
At least, yeah, he's 27.
Just been dominating everyone that's like, outside of those, whatever 3 or 4 top tiers of the sport. Like he runs into, number, and that's what made that some of his losses this year that much more surprising because, number 50 in the world runs into Rublev. It's always been one-way traffic from what we've seen the last few years. So
yep.
Let's see if he brings back that consistency that we've grown accustomed to from him.
Definitely. And I think, as I said, like Medvedev's the gatekeeper for the top 5. I feel like Rublev's the gatekeeper for like the top 10, top 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he struggles against the very elite, but he beats most guys he should, which he wasn't last year, which is why the subtle dip in rankings. So if he gets back to that, I think he makes the ATP finals for sure. But if not, we could definitely see him drop out of the... If he drops out of the top 8, I don't know who his coach is, but he should probably just fire them and get like a mental coach.
He's always had the same coach. He looks like chill as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry to diss you though. But yeah, got to the top 8. Maybe we save 8 through 20 for the next episode. And
9 through 20.
Yeah, that's my bad.
No, we're good. Yeah.
Yep.
No, let's do that.
We'll save rankings 9 through 20 for next episode, and maybe throw in some potential high risers. But yeah, Jeremy, it was great getting back to you. Glad we got to throw out these takes to see how stupid we sound at the end of the year when none of them are right. But
you know how we roll.
Yeah.
GMP year-end number 1.
Of course. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I mean, I like
He's gonna be such a tough out, dude.
He's a fun watch, even though he just like is a serve bot. But like, at least he's like got a one-hander that I could like. All right, at least I could watch it a little bit. But
he has the simplest one-hander I've ever seen. Like, not ever. It's like very old school,
Yeah.
Like most tennis players in like the 80s and 90s had like a similar one-hander to what he has right now.
Yeah.
But he's like making it work in 2025. It's, pretty commendable.
Yeah. His legs are like tree trunks. He's got the muscles to have the one-handed backhand and you would think at his height, like you wouldn't want the one-handed footwork that might inhibit him a little bit, but he's young. He makes it worse. Yeah. He's definitely one to watch out for, but
let's see.
Great stuff, Jeremy. It's been good to get back. We'll see each other soon for sure.
Peace out.
Follow us on Apple and Spotify, maybe, coming out soon. And now we're going to be posting these videos on YouTube. So follow at DoubleFaultTennisPod and see some clips in the full episode. So
yeah, YouTube Shorts. Are we going to do some brain rot? Are we
for sure
tapping into that market?
I'm going to watch this back and clip a lot of the dumb things we said. It's going to be pretty funny. But good stuff, man. Have a good night.
Talk to you.
Looking forward to 2025.